Welcome to Cinema Chop Shop. Watch, chop, retrofit.
I've had a pinched nerve in my neck for the better part of 15 years. And it comes and goes, and it takes the form of a pain in my shoulder. It's like somebody's gripping me. So finally, I have gone the route of quack medicine, doing chiropractic and acupuncture.
Is it working?
I've started this week, and I can tell there's a little bit of relief. So, had needles poked in my back and electricity shot through me, and
I'm sure your chiropractor is more on the up and up in this, but Shasta used to work for a chiropractor, and she quit because he had a table that would make popping noises to like sell what he was doing in the thing, and she said he was such a piece of shit.
This is not a holistic medicine podcast.
No, it's Cinema Chop Shop. It's a movie podcast where we get together and talk about movies and such. I'm your host, Shawn. I am joined back in the shop, the triumphant return of Joey Poole.
I am back.
And also with me is Travisito.
I'm here again.
Thank you very much. And unfortunately, Todd had to cancel on us at the last second, so we will not have his insight into summer camp movies. I think we're going to close out the summer theme with this one. We've done a few, so hopefully you've enjoyed some of these summertime films. Ironically, it is raining as we record this podcast, so
Thankfully,
we do not.
Though, God,
yeah, we needed it.
We have a little break from the heat and humidity. Bear with us if you hear crazy noises like thunderstorms and stuff rolling in and out.
That's just the ominous foreboding of some midnight stabber coming to attack the campers.
So yeah, summer camp films. Obviously, we're talking about people who are kids, mostly kids that are off to camp for the summer, so the parents can have a break from the madness.
Although there are those weird adult summer camps, like the baseball fantasy camp and stuff like that. So,
in real life,
Fat camps.
Yep.
Those count.
Gay conversion camps.
Yes, there are those.
They probably happen in summertime too.
Somebody needs to do a gay conversion camp comedy.
Okay,
I think that there's something to be mined in that.
and they could
genre.
call it. They could call
Surely
it.
one exists.
They could call it turnt.
Turnt. But yes, horror movies, of course, just tread on that territory quite a bit. And then comedies, of course, as well.
I've got some that we're not going to discuss in the show today. Obviously, Ernest Goes to Camp.
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked that Todd did not.
Well, Todd's
pick
covered that
one.
movie before on another episode. And I told him, I said, maybe we should probably let that one lie.
The Parent Trap and
Yes.
all that includes. Indian Summer, The Burning, speaking of horror, Poison Ivy, but not that one, the one with Michael J. Fox.
Yes.
Friday the 13th, Camp Dakota, which is a more recent indie comedy with Mamrie, I forget her name.
Is Indian Summer the one with Christy McNichol?
I believe so. It's
That's
got
an
an ensemble
fucked
cast.
up movie. It is. They go hard into young girls feeling peer pressured into having sex as the theme of that movie, and it is awkward as hell and problematic.
And then Addams Family Values.
Addams Family Values. Another one I'd throw onto this, if you haven't seen it, is Theater Camp.
Oh, yeah, that's fairly new, right?
It's recent, within the last 5 years, I would say. It's loosely based on a camp that my lovely wife, Allie, worked at when she was in undergrad as a counselor. It's Loch Sheldrake. I forgot what the name of the camp is, but legitimate actors and actresses go there during the summertime. Allie was the camp counselor, as I mentioned many times on the show, for Natalie Portman when she was a kid. And then I think of the... Bijou Phillips or whatever was also at that camp. So yeah, Theater Camp. Check that one out. It's pretty funny.
Ben Platt in that?
Yes.
Ben Platt's
Yes,
in
he
that.
is. That's a good one. Good memory recall there, Travis.
I do what I can.
Yeah.
You stop drinking and the memories, the brain cells just regenerate.
Don't worry. I'm doing my best to kill those brain cells otherwise.
Okay.
Our feature segment, I thought it would be apropos to do one that is relatively recent. It came out in the early 2000s, and it's kind of a send-up of the typical summer camp film. And it is the film, of course, Wet Hot American Summer, directed by David Wayne. It came out in 2001. I talk about an ensemble cast. These guys are comprised mostly of the cast members of The State
and
Upright Citizens Brigade. So
and other well-known
couple
actors.
of SNL crossovers as well.
Right. Janine Garofalo, David Hyde Pierce, Michael Showalter, Marguerite Moreau, who's beautiful. Gorgeous. Paul Rudd, Christopher Maloney, Molly Shannon, Ken Marino, Zach Orth, A.D. Miles, Amy Poehler, Bradley Cooper in his film debut.
Which is so surprising.
And Elizabeth Banks. Skanky.
Joe Latruglio.
Oh, yes, of course.
And you mentioned Christopher Maloney as the camp cook, who is one of my favorite parts of this movie.
And you should also mention H. John Benjamin, of course.
As the voice of the mixed vegetables can that he's receiving advice from. It's his Jiminy Cricket.
It is. All right, so set on the chaotic, sweltering final day of the summer season in 1981 at the fictional Camp Firewood in Maine, the overworked and emotionally unstable staff of teenage counselors tries to wrap up unfinished business before the buses arrive. Camp director Beth fights to keep order while falling for an eccentric astrophysics professor who discovers a piece of NASA's Skylab is hurtling directly toward the camp. Meanwhile, the counselors navigate a minefield of unrequited love, messy breakups, and a looming talent show, all while ignoring their actual camp duties. As the hours tick down, the absurd stakes culminate in a frantic race to save the campers from both romantic heartbreak and falling space debris, cementing it as the ultimate surreal parody of the entire summer camp genre.
For sure. So you emphasize teenage camp counselors.
Yes.
The fact that they're all in their late 20s, early 30s, the actual actors itself is a send up of the movies from like the Parent Trap era, where people who were supposed to be high schoolers were often played by legit adults.
Yeah, it's a workaround because under 18 you have limited shooting days. So what you would do is you would cast somebody who was over 18 that still looked kind of youngish.
And the that in itself is kind of emblematic of this whole movie's approach, which is to people like us, people who are film nerds and people who appreciate like improv comedy and things like that. This movie is very accessible, but to a lot of people it's not, which is why it has such a low rating on Rotten Tomatoes, I think, because the summer camp movies are a farce or a satire of that nostalgia, that actual experience, that Americana. This movie is a send-up of those movies. So the metatext might be a little bit too much,
a little too nuanced
mainstream audiences.
I think its closest tonal brethren is probably something like the Naked Gun or the Airplane series, and that kind of absurdist, like, somewhere between spoof and absurdist satire. But this one like doesn't advertise that about itself as much. You know what I mean?
That's absolutely right.
It kind of plays it a little straighter, which to me makes it funny. I've rarely laughed. I watched this movie for the first time last week, and I've rarely laughed out loud as much as I did.
Were you watching it by yourself?
No, I watched it with Todd.
Okay. I find that's a true test of if something's really, really funny is if I'm watching it by myself and I laugh out loud.
This movie plays like a series of sketches for the state or Upright Citizens Brigade, where they just kind of have strung them together into one continuous narrative. But as I was saying to Travis before we started today, was that the thing that sets this movie apart are the hard left turns that they take, where you think they're going one way, parody wise, or just to send up kind of the genre, and then they take a hard turn, and it's just like, what the fuck. And they set that tone very early on.
Which is exactly the kind of style that those shows had.
Sure.
We should explain a little bit for the listeners who don't
know the State or UCB. The State was a show on MTV in the mid-'90s. David Wayne, Michael Showalter, Ken Marino, Carrie Kinney.
People who are heavy hitters today got their start.
Yeah, and Joe Latruglio. They all went on to, some of them went on to do Giant.
Human Giant.
Thank you. And then also the Reno 911 guys. And so their sketches were always kind of
subversive,
skirting the line. Yeah, Ken Marino's famous character was, I want to dip my balls in it. And he would hold up two balls to get by the censors.
Yeah.
And that's the level of juvenile humor that they were peddling. And as a post-college graduate at the time, I thought it was great.
This is a movie also that knows exactly where that line of inappropriate humor is that you can't cross, and like stares it down. I guess the best example is the Molly Shannon character.
Yes.
God, where she's having her marital problems and she gets counseling from one of her campers.
Yes.
Well, it's funny enough, like these kids are like kind of helping her through her marital problems, and they're like, basically telling them, dump this jerk or whatever. But then
they're one
she
step
ends
beyond
up dating this kid, and he's like, what? 12,
12, yes, and he is legitimately like a young kid, and she.
But with the scene where he comes over and like she's down in the dumps and he starts like massaging her shoulders, you're like, oh my god, they're going there, aren't they? Yeah.
And she's like, your fingers are magic. You, sir, are a magician. Which that line was ad-libbed.
There's a scene where Michael Showalter, who is the lovelorn counselor who has the crush on the beautiful brunette, she is with Paul Rudd's character. When Paul Rudd, of course, plays the stereotypical cool guy, where he's just too cool, very too cool for school, wearing a leather jacket in summer kind of fellow. And he has a breakthrough moment with her where they're like, oh yeah, maybe I'll see you later, and they're just kind of feeling good. And the guys that were with them in the scene had walked off camera. And so you're left with just the two of them. And he's like, all right, well, I'll catch you later. I'm going to go catch up with the guys. And he turns and goes, and the camera pans, and all of the guys are lined up facing the wall of the cabin
the
nearby
wall.
And the true story was that was done as a gag. They did it to kind of fuck with Michael Showalter.
But he went right
and he walked right into it. He walked right over and took his place in line against, and that, of course, makes the cut.
At first glance, I thought they were all peeing.
Yeah.
And then I thought, oh, maybe they're doing like a Blair Witch thing.
That's what I wondered, I guess. Yeah.
It kind of has a Blair Witch vibe on there. This, of course, we have to talk about the scene where the camp counselors go off campus into town.
Oh, it's great.
And it plays
all this takes place in a day.
And
there's no reason for her to really have to go to town other than she needs a book on astrophysics.
She's wanting to catch him on astrophysics because of David Hyde.
So she's trying to sneak off to town in her truck, but of course all the campers jump in the truck.
The counselors want to go, and it starts off as just like, antics, just kind of having
a
fun.
Milkshake
and then it escalates scene by scene, and then they're drinking beer and they're doing drugs,
tying off their arms,
and then you end up like in a heroin den.
Yes,
and then the scene cuts to them pulling back onto camp, and
it's the guy like an hour later.
Sometimes you just need to get away from camp, even if it's just for an hour. So good. Also, the whole side quest with Ken Marino and the campers going on the river and Joe Latruglio.
I was going to talk about that.
In the van, there's a scene where he throws out a kid out of the van, and later in the movie they show that same scene with the kid getting thrown out of the van, and it's really non sequitur because it's
a different kid.
Okay,
and what it is, it's because of the negligence of the camp counselors. These are kids that are witnesses to their negligence. One of them is the kid that drowns.
Gotcha.
And the other kid sees it. And that kid that sees it is actually Kyle Gallner.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
All gang represents.
Yes. And so he hauls him off and shoves him out of the van on the high speed.
That's awesome.
And I got to say, I knew those scenes were in there. That stunt is amazing. That's a kid getting tossed from
a tiny stunt person.
A very skinny, tiny kid-like stunt person, because they fucking go hard into that embankment.
Speaking of stunts, Joe Latruglio steals a motorcycle and is riding it back, and at some points it's very obvious that it's a stunt person on the motorcycle, but when he pulls back into camp, I swear to God, it was David Cross driving the motorcycle, and they cut away and they cut back, and it's Joe Latruglio. Like in Run Ronnie Run costume.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Some of the things about the movie, of course, and I'll talk about my film at the end of the show, it has the meatball structure.
Yes.
And one of the things that they play on is the highly competitive aspect of these summer camps in the Meatballs type movies, where they're going head to head with the rich camp. And there's one great scene in this movie where they're trying to amp up the kids for a baseball game against the rich campers that are coming in, and the kids are like, we're just not feeling it. We don't want to play. We don't want to. And And so the other camp arrives in their bus, and the shot's brilliant because you've got all the young campers at the front of the scene, and the counselor goes back into the back of the scene where the bus is and has a conversation with the coach, and they're mic'd for audio, so you can wholly hear him negotiating. Say, well, my kids aren't really feeling it, so you guys just want to, blow it off. And the other coach is like, yeah, sure, whatever, man. And then that's it. They completely derail the entire. They derail the entire archetype, and what you're expected to have is kind of like the climax of the movie, which would be that head-to-head competition.
Because it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter. We'll get into that too. You have the clean up the camp montage. That's another thing. And everybody pitches in, and
multiple montages.
Yeah.
We've got training montages. We've got choreography montages. We've got cleanup montages.
But where this movie does it is like some of the camp counselors, they pick up one piece of trash, drop it, and then they're done.
Yes.
I was just gonna say the music in those montages, the real '80s songs on the soundtrack are awesome. It's sort of like great. Arena rock, soft rock kind of soundtrack. But then there's a handful of original songs too, in one of those montages, and they sound so much like they're parodies, sort of, but they sound so much like they could be that Todd and I were Googling it, like, wait, who sings that song?
Isn't
like,
Ken Marino in that
middle-aged dad
cover band?
Middle-aged dad jam band.
Yes. So he really does sing and perform music.
Yeah, and David Wayne plays drums.
Right.
Very well, I might say.
If you haven't checked out those videos on YouTube, it's Middle-Aged Dad Jam Band.
The Friday the 13th cooking scene, clearly Christopher Maloney's character is kind of a nod to the jolly camp cook, but of course he is a affected Vietnam veteran who has a mental issue where he has strange urges. And he always says
he vocalizes them.
He vocalizes them, but it's always like, yeah, okay, well, I'll talk to you guys later. I'm just going to go over here and go hump the fridge. What? Huh? What?
I'm going to get smear some mud all over my ass.
It sounded like you said you were going to hump the fridge.
What? No. And
I said I was going to jump the bridge.
And he has a can of vegetables that talks to him.
Who's voiced by
H. John Benjamin, a.k.a. Archer, a.k.a. Bob from Bob's Burgers, a.k.a. Coach McGurk from Home Movies. Thank you.
And he's H. John Benjamin from H. John Benjamin Has a Van.
That is correct. That subplot is explained, and I guess we should say that there was a Netflix prequel series that was released.
First Day of Camp. Yes.
That entire subplot with H. John Benjamin in the scene
gets explained about how his persona is in a can of vegetables. And then they also made a sequel miniseries called Wet Hot American Summer 10 Years Later, which there's a scene in this movie where they say, in 10 years, let's all get back together. Will it be 9 or 9:30? And then there's a post-credit scene where they get back together, and one of them's late at 9:30. And I'm sure that that's the scene that picks up the Netflix series.
Of course. Then they did a documentary.
Really?
Which I'm sure some of your fun
wow,
facts.
There's a whole Wet Hot Summer universe.
Yeah, it is a wet universe. You have your mandatory trip to the river, where the kids get stranded indefinitely in the river because
they're about to go over the falls.
And the kids are just sitting there going, and they're just in the same spot.
Clearly anchored.
Each shot. And the reason that happens, of course, is because
Ken Marino wants to get back to camp to hook up with...
It's his one chance. Because Ken Marino's character, of course, is supposed to be the stud who's experienced, and he confesses to Joe Latriglio that he is a virgin, and he feels like this is the time he's got his one chance, so he's got to haul ass back to camp at the expense.
Meanwhile, Annie is kind of promiscuous.
She's hooking up with a camper.
More than one. Counselors and campers.
So yes, they leave the kids to die.
Everybody in this movie is horny as hell.
Yes, which I think is accurate for these types of films. So we talk about Paul Rudd being the cool guy with his leather jacket, that toxic cool character that you have. We should talk about Bradley Cooper's premiere playing the closeted gay counselor who comes out and falls in love with Michael Ian Black's character, and that's a great scene because there are two other counselors that are spying on Bradley Cooper's character, and they're expecting him to be hooking up with somebody, but Michael Ian Black, and they play it as if they're going to.
They play it very homophobic.
They play it homophobic, right? And so they have a secret wedding, and the later scene is at the cafeteria.
Right.
We got something for you.
We got something for you. Yeah, we're going to show you.
And it's a very tense moment because you don't know what's going to be in the box.
And they pull in some kind of credenza from Crate and Barrel or
Shays Lounge.
Shays Lounge. That's right. Yes. We got you a Shays Lounge. So another hard turn that's unexpected and again just funny as hell. David Hyde Pierce, Janine Garofalo's interaction, where she first meets him and starts talking to him, and he's like, "I said this," and just like shuts her off, and then she has to learn about astrophysics. He learns about the challenges of running a camp so they can have something to talk about with each other.
I was wondering if that him losing his temper was going to be a recurring thing with his character, and they just never hit it again.
And that's again those little one-hit wonders is really what their comedy is all about. And then you've got the big talent show at the end of the movie, where the old man from the Catskills, who's also played the MC, played by Michael Showalter, not funny, yet the audience is laughing hysterically at his bad jokes.
And his name is Alan Shepard, which is weird juxtaposed with the Skylab scene coming down from space.
Correct.
Because Alan Shepard's the name of a famous astronaut. But I think the joke is that these aging comedians working the circuit in the Catskills have a name that sounds kind of familiar, but you've never really heard of them.
Sure. Amy Poehler's character, of course, was paired with Bradley Cooper as being being in charge of the theater kids, getting them ready for this talent show. And of course, the whole time Amy Poehler's just like, "These kids suck. This is going to be terrible. We apologize. Sorry.
These campers suck dick. Sorry." Because they're doing a number from Godspell.
And of course, they do a beautiful job. It's a gorgeous production, and Amy Poehler's just like, whatever.
And they get booed. And then finally, the last performer of
it's the one awkward camper.
Steve.
Yes, awkward camper that Janine Garofalo encourages to come and do something.
It's his Napoleon Dynamite moment.
Oh, it is a Napoleon Dynamite moment.
He
totally
comes out there and he's just standing there and he's wearing sunglasses and it's mysterious, and one of the counselors yells, "Do something or get off the fucking stage!" And he puts his hands up and then out, and then the wind starts to rustle. And the cafeteria starts to shake, and you realize that he's like summoning the weather.
So that's one thing that's happening simultaneously with David Hyde Pierce, who has started a science chapter, and they were aware of the impending doom of Skylab, and so they are building some sort of weird trash can contraption
to track Skylab,
to
track
figure
out where it's going to fall,
and to hopefully push it just enough to where it doesn't hit the camp. Now the question becomes, and this is just stupid because it's just a silly comedy, but is it the efforts of the science camp kids, or is it the efforts of the guy with the wind powers?
Well, they say right there when the nerds are all laying on the ground reminiscing, they say something about that gust of wind kicked up right at the right time.
So were their efforts for naught, or did they help in any way? Who knows? Funny as hell. And underappreciated at the time.
We get 39% on
misunderstood
Rotten
at the time.
Criminal.
I agree.
Upon its initial release, the movie was completely savaged by critics and made less than $300,000 at the box office. Legendary critic Roger Ebert hated it so much that his review consisted of a parodied song listing all the things he despised about it.
You're missing the point, Roger.
I don't understand how anybody who likes comedy and doesn't have a stick rammed right up their ass and has seen any of these movies that it's spoofing or not, you get it. It's
absurdist comedy. Either you like absurdist comedy or you don't.
Yeah.
And I know some people don't like it.
Some people are also, and sorry, some of them are our listeners, but some people are on a very basic level when they consume media. And if it's more than a straightforward
trajectory,
comedy, and this is very, very far from straightforward.
Yeah, completely. I love this movie.
Can't recommend it enough.
Me too.
Fantastic. Fun facts?
Fun facts. I've got 3. The owners of Camp Tawanda, where the movie was filmed, were told that this was going to be a family comedy. They were mortified when they saw the final cut of the film. While a guest on Live with Regis and Kelly in 2010, Bradley Cooper was asked which of the many actresses with whom he has co-starred was his favorite on-screen kisser. Instead of an actress, he chose Michael Ian Black. In 2011,
that's a very sensual sex scene too.
All the makeout scenes are very over the top. And then finally, in 2011, Paul Rudd told Entertainment Weekly that he was literally not sure if he ever got paid for this movie. He thinks that because the budget and the production staff were both so incredibly small, they may have just overlooked making out a check for his salary.
I've got additional if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Despite the movie being titled Wet Hot American Summer, it rained almost every single day of the 28-day shoot because they were filming in a real camp in Pennsylvania in the freezing spring of 2000. The actors were constantly shivering in their shorts, and the crew had to use massive heaters and fake sunlight rigs to make it look hot. There are scenes where they are outdoors and it's not raining. They go inside and you can see in the window that there's rain pouring down outside.
I thought that was like a intentional continuity
and it works.
thing.
And it works for their
was,
comedy.
Yeah.
In most movie shoots, their whole shooting schedule would be fucked. But because of the nature of this movie, it actually worked to their advantage. The age incongruity, as we mentioned before, the central joke being the teenage counselors being played by people in their 20s and 30s. When they made the Netflix prequel series 15 years later, the joke doubled down by having the exact same cast play even younger versions of themselves now in their mid-40s.
Yes.
So if you...
And then 10 years later for the sequel series, which I kind of want to go watch now.
Yeah. So just beat that dead horse and just beat it. That's exactly what they do. So it's not for everybody. I will agree that some people just don't like that kind of comedy. But if you're like me and you enjoy the absurdist, hard left turns, this is it.
If Saturday Night Live was disco, then The State and Upright Citizens Brigade were punk rock.
Yeah, 100%. That's cool then. Let's go take a break. I got to go pee in the yard. So why don't we say, let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby and get ourselves some summer squash.
Yum, yum. It's time for a tasty and refreshing snack. We promise to satisfy your hunger, your thirst, your sweet tooth. So visit our refreshment center now. Let's go.
And we're back. Thank you for bearing with us while we take care of some personal business in the yard. Joey, you are up with your pick, please.
I chose Sleepaway Camp, but it turns out that low-budget 80s slashers are like Lay's potato chips. Can't eat just one. So I'm going to do the Sleepaway Camp 1 through 3. And that's not the entire Sleepaway Camp franchise. There is a return to Sleepaway Camp, but based on the trajectory that you can kind of see happening in these first 3 movies and the reviews that I've read of Sleepaway Camp, I'm not missing a whole lot.
Quick question. Wasn't one of them unfinished?
Yeah, there was a Sleepaway Camp 4.
Okay.
But I think that if memory serves, I just looked this up the other day when I was prepping for the movies. They started filming it, and the production company went bankrupt.
Okay.
Like maybe halfway through, so it never got released.
Gotcha.
But the 4th one is called Return to Sleepaway Camp.
Okay.
It actually came out in 2008. Sleepaway Camp is kind of become a cult classic. I think it was kind of one of those movies that kind of caught on among horror buffs and B-movie buffs in video release over the years. Early mid-80s, 84, I believe. Low budget, 83. Low budget slasher, and it's in a lot of ways it's a pretty standard post Friday the 13th 80s teen slasher. But this one is mostly notable, I think, for its twist ending, which we'll talk about in a minute. It's kind of what people talk about. But like I said, it's a very, sordid, sort of low-budget thing. It's a very good bad slasher, though, in that It has a lot of, what you'd expect, low budget thrills and sleaze. But it actually kind of works as a whodunit as well, and it's got some campy touches that make it kind of that are endearing. The one that sticks out is there's a duct tape mustache. There's like a continuity thing. There's a character, a cop who comes to investigate early in the movie, and he has a mustache. And I guess he didn't realize that he was going to get a call back. So at the end of the movie, when he shows up again for continuity purposes, he's wearing what's very clearly looks like an electrical tape, black mustache. It's you can't miss it if you see the film. So there's some touches like that. It's kind of a good, so bad it's good kind of thing. But it actually is a decent movie, and like I said, it kind of works as a whodunit. Mostly, probably, I think, famous for its twist ending. So let's talk about the beginning of the movie first. So at the very first scene of the movie, we have at this kind of idyllic sort of camp spot, lake spot, we have a father, a gay father, who we learn later in flashbacks is, this a two-dad situation. And his two kids are out boating, and they're kind of playing around, and the boat capsizes. And there's a ski boat coming by at the same time, and it kills there's a crash, and the father dies, and one of the kids dies. There's a girl and a boy. And we see a life jacket float up, and so we know that one of the kids has died. And Angela, who is the little girl, gets raised by her really weird sort of volumed out aunt, I guess, and her cousin Ricky. And flash forward a few years, Angela and Ricky go to summer camp. And Angela at this point is all but nonverbal. She's been through a lot, obviously. And she's at this camp, and it's the kind of camp like you'd expect with 1980s movies, teenagers. They're all very precocious. They're really horny. They, like to drink and have sex, and they start getting murdered one by one. It's noteworthy that everybody in this first film that dies kind of has it coming, especially the very first victim, who is the cook in the camp, and he is a just sleazy, unabashed pedophile. Yep. And the killer,
big fat bastard.
Yeah, big fat bastard, sleazy, tries to lure a little girl into the kitchen, whatever. And the killer ends up basically, I don't think he dies actually, but he gets fucked up real bad. He gets boiled. There's a huge pot of boiling water, and he gets basically scalded with it, and they have to take him away. We don't know if he actually dies or not, but he certainly has it coming. Most of the other kills in this movie also, some of them are counselors, some of them are campers, and they're all kind of cunty for whatever reason, and they end up dying. But at the end of the movie, and here's what I think kind of either elevates the movie or kind of, for better or worse, is what people remember about it. At the end of the movie, it's revealed that the killer is Angela. And you kind of have seen that coming by this point, although it takes a while to figure it out. But then there's a scene at the very end, right before the credits roll, where Angela, who has gone skinny dipping with a boy who is kind of her love interest, and she's killed the boy, and then the camera pans over to her. She has the knife in her hand, and she's totally naked, and she has a penis.
Yep.
So
it's a real crying game situation.
And then bam, credits roll. So this ending has gotten a lot of flack over the years. Shawn, you said in your Letterboxd review that this is a film that is friendlier to
an ally,
queer lifestyles and whatnot than a lot of the ilk of its
for its time. And that's the thing. I think a lot of the negative reviews that you would see like on Letterboxd are seen through a modern day lens. And of course, yes, it is an insensitive kind of handling of the topic. However, in an era when just being gay was the butt end of a joke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the dad characters. Yeah,
these guys are treated with somewhat respect in a 1984 lens or 1983 lens. It is respectful, of course, by today's standards. 100% not. I totally understand. But when you look at it from that point of view, where think about how many times you would see somebody make an overt, limp wrist kind of a thing and a sitcom, and it would get audience laughs. That's the kind of disrespect that I'm talking about. In this movie, there is a certain amount of respect for an alternative lifestyle that you just didn't see in other films, which I thought was interesting just in a slasher movie. To kind of give that level of respect is unusual and was really refreshing. So I see it from a different point of view than a lot of people who kind of bag on this movie.
I mean, I guess I get the point that it's a dude. The shock value doesn't really it doesn't kind of peddles on that stuff for shock value. But I mean, also there's another element here, and it's not everything has to be, a statement. And this is, I don't think that was on the forefront of the movie makers' hand. But anyway,
I think that the point is the twist that it's not the kid you thought it was, but they could have done that in a number of different ways.
Well, it's also a callback to Psycho and Friday the 13th, and it comes in a long line of that kind of thing. But
in choosing to reveal that in the way that they did, with the right before the credits dick shot, smash cut, roll credits is exploitive. It's going for that shock value. Very much so. It's the same joke that Ace Ventura did, making fun of the crying game.
And if this movie were made today, it would take a completely different tone. It would go more of that I saw the TV glow kind of very thoughtful and low-key kind of thing. So, it's a different era that it was made in.
I think that now you would have a scene at the end where one of the other main characters is suddenly realizing the reveal.
Right.
But it's dawning on them all of a sudden, and then they're flashing back to clues that happened along the way that would have indicated this had they even been thinking in that direction.
Right.
So regardless of how we read the ending, I think Sleepaway Camp is what it is, and it's it's very much a low budget 80s slasher, but it's in the top half of a low budget 80s slasher, and it's memorable for a lot of reasons. Decent culty flick. The thing that makes it interesting to me is that the sequels, the Sleepaway Camp universe, is just an absolute textbook case study in what happens with horror sequels.
Okay. Oh, sure.
Because
diminishing returns.
You have definitely, but you have the original thrill is gone, so you have to double down on the body count. That happens in the second one. You have slightly higher production values this time around because you
made some money on the
made a little bit of money. And you got wall-to-wall teenage nudity in both number 2 and number 3. The first one, by the way, directed by Robert Hiltzik, who's has 2 movies to his credit: Sleepaway Camp and Return to Sleepaway Camp, which I haven't seen. The second 2 are directed by Michael A. Simpson, who has done nothing else that you've ever heard of. The only one that I'd even remotely heard of was another 80s slasher called Funland.
Okay.
Apparently about a clown stalking an amusement park that's been bought by the mob.
Awesome.
Well, it sounds promising. But like I said, turns up the body count. I don't know what's higher here, the body count or the titty count, because they're both real high in this movie.
Well, you count 2 for titty.
Right. It's a double. Each one. And the craziness of the kills. She burns some people alive. There's a jump cut with that's hilarious. And by the time that the third movie rolls around, Angela's just killing people. She's just killing campers. So in the second movie, the synopsis on Letterboxd says that she escapes from the mental hospital. That's incorrect. In the film, it's explained that she got out of the mental hospital and that the doctors that treated her helped her get the job as a counselor and gave her references, which is fucking stupid.
Perfect.
Did you read her case file?
So she's a counselor in the second movie.
Therapy.
Yeah. and she just and all that other stuff in the first movie, everybody who kind of dies either does her wrong or does something, she has a real stick up her ass. She's she's a prude, really. And so in the second movie, she's just killing campers. In the third movie, at the very beginning of the movie, there's no explanation at all about how we assume she escaped. Surely they didn't let her back out again, right?
She's out.
Yeah, so she's out, and there's a kid going to this camp, and this is kind of this is borderline offensive premise. The camp that is featured in the third one is a camp where they're bringing together kids from rich upper class backgrounds and like lower class kids.
Oh wow!
And the lower class kids are like, like the multiracial gangs in like Death Wish. That's kind of how they. Yeah. That's kind of what they are. So at the very beginning of the movie, Angela runs over one of the girls from the lower class camp on the way to camp with a garbage truck, compresses her in the back of the truck, and then impersonates her as a camper.
People are garbage.
Yeah, and we have kind of a like a wet hot summer thing going on here because Pamela Springsteen, Bruce Springsteen's little sister, by the way, who takes over the role of Angela in part 2,
Okay. Oh, no shit.
is by this time clearly well into her 20s, if not 30s, and she's playing a camper, and this one again just devolves into like female campers getting nude and then everybody getting murdered. And it is exactly what you kind of think it is.
Right.
There was a fourth one which was never made, and then there's a Return to Sleepaway Camp. I have not seen that yet, so I can't vouch for it.
Report back.
It clearly it has by far the lowest rating on Letterboxd. The rest of them are hovering around 2.9, 2.7. This one's a 2.0. So I'm assuming that it's it's pretty bad. So, but interesting case study in what happens to horror sequels. It's almost like is it a parody of that phenomenon or is it just an example of it? Because it's a damn fine example.
Or just a cash out.
It's so early; it might just be the example.
Yeah.
Fun facts.
Yes.
The movie was shot in early fall, but it was set in midsummer, so the crew often used green spray paint on brown leaves and grass to keep continuity. As a child, writer-director Robert Hiltzik actually went to the camp used in the film.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And this movie, along with Friday the 13th Part 3 in 1982, inspired Weird Al Yankovic's song Nature Trail to Hell.
Oh, okay then. Well, it's your turn with your movie.
All right. I am up with the obligatory Wes Anderson pick. We're going with Moonrise Kingdom.
As soon as this the episode theme dropped,
yeah.
Shawn and I surmised that this would be your pick.
Right.
Yeah.
And you were correct. We've got a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. The tagline, a tormenting and surprising story of children and adults during the stormy days of the summer of 1965. And I think that tagline is very telling because it is about the juxtaposition of children and adults and how they are behaving. All of the children in this movie behave like adults, and the adults not all the time, but pretty consistently behave in a childish manner. We've got the usual cast of characters. Anderson likes his stable of actors. So we've got Bruce Willis, Edward Norton, Bill Murray, Frances McDormand, Tilda Swinton, Jason Schwartzman, Bob Balaban, and introducing Jared Gilman and Kara Hayward. They are tweens, 12, 13-ish. 12-year-old orphan Sam Shakusky, a khaki scout at Camp Ivanhoe on the New England island of New Penzance, feels like an outsider among his peers. Across the island, equally independent and introverted Susie Bishop struggles to fit in with her family. After meeting during a church production of Noah's Flood in the summer of 1964, the two begin exchanging letters, forming a deep bond that blossoms into young love. A year later, they secretly carry out a carefully planned escape, leaving behind camp and home to meet in the wilderness, where they hope to build a life together away from the adults who fail to understand them. As Sam and Susie disappear into the island's forests and beaches, Scoutmaster Randy Ward organizes the Khaki Scouts into a search party, while Police Captain Sharp joins Susie's parents in the growing manhunt. Along the way, Sam's troubled background as an orphan in foster care comes to light. When several scouts finally corner the runaways, the confrontation turns chaotic, leaving one scout injured and the camp dog accidentally killed before Sam and Susie escape to a secluded cove they christen the Moonrise Kingdom. There, the pair enjoy a brief period of freedom, sharing their first kiss before they are eventually discovered. Susie is taken home, while Sam learns that his foster parents no longer want him, leaving him in the custody of Captain Sharp as social services prepares to send him to an orphanage. I think one of the things that Wes Anderson does really well is that difference, that chasm between childhood and adult thinking. And he knows about the magic that you lose when you become an adult, and he's really good at capturing that. Feeling guilty over what has happened, the Khaki Scouts decide to help the young couple reunite. They sneak Sam and Susie away to neighboring St. Jack Wood Island, where an older scout cousin performs a symbolic wedding ceremony and devises a plan to help them escape by boat. Before they can leave, however, they are discovered, setting off another chase just as a powerful hurricane descends on the island. The pursuit ends atop the church steeple where Sam and Susie first met, and after lightning destroys the tower, Captain Sharp rescues him and decides to become Sam's legal guardian. That's Bruce Willis's character. Yeah. Although the storm washes away the tidal inlet known as Moonrise Kingdom, Sam finally finds a place to belong, and the film concludes with him quietly maintaining his friendship and romance with Susie under Sharp's care/chaperoneship. The movie's not without controversy. So the Huffington Post journalist Mina Zahir criticized the depiction of the sexual awakening between Sam and Susie, expressing discomfort with the scene where Sam touches Susie's breasts, calling it, quote, a step further or perhaps too far. Zahir questioned whether the children's sexuality could have been portrayed in a more appropriate way, reviewing the scene where the characters dance wearing only their underwear. The Catholic News Service stated, the interlude does not quite cross over into the full-blown exploitation of children, but it teeters on that edge. Of course, the Catholic Church thought it was okay. Professor Carl Siegel...
I would interject here that who the fuck is the Catholic Church to be making pronouncements about what is and isn't appropriate with children?
Yeah. And then Professor Carl Siegel summed up the portrayal as, quote, delicate and to a large extent inoffensive. Also, in one scene, the dog Snoopy is killed by an arrow in a scene compared to Lord of the Flies by William Golding. This inspired a New Yorker editorial by Ian Crouch titled, Does Wes Anderson Hate Dogs?
Oh my God.
Crouch said in the theater where he saw the film, the shot showing the dog impaled an inert elicited a shocked, yelping exhale from many people in the audience.
As it was supposed to.
And he observed outrage on Twitter. The Washington Post critic Sonia Rao held on Snoopy's death as a prime example of, quote, a particular kind of darkness that lurks in Anderson's filmography, where pets are so often the victims of the writer-director's quirky storytelling, but argued Anderson's 2018 Isle of Dogs served to remedy this.
That's what I say.
I can't. Go ahead.
The thing about this is that Wes Anderson's a director that attracts
criticism and controversy.
People who like getting their panties in a twist.
Yes.
Because he does exist in this circle of erudite, elite film critics and cinephiles. So naturally, you're going to get people who are easily offended. And then you take this movie and put it side by side with Sleepaway Camp, which we just talked about. Mm-hmm. You tell me which one is the more sensitive of the two.
Right.
And it's clearly Wes Anderson. So that kind of stuff enrages me about Wes Anderson. It's like, okay, art freak, calm down.
Yeah.
Chill. Let me show you something else that's going to blow your mind.
I get viscerally angry when people don't bat an eyelash at like watching serial killer shit or gross horror movies or like, you know, all this dark, depressing stuff. And then there's a dog that dies and they want to get precious about it. That pisses me off.
And people, they haven't actually harmed animals in the making of a motion picture since 1983.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen.
Oh, God. I love this movie. This is my favorite Wes Anderson movie.
Okay.
I was going to ask Travis as our resident Wes Anderson.
Where do I rank this one?
Yeah.
Oh,
to me, it's in the
gosh.
top half, probably.
Yeah, I would say upper half. It's so hard for me. Life Aquatic is my number one.
Mine too. Most people don't really like that one as much.
I put it at the top, and I would put probably Bottle Rocket at the bottom, just because it's the least Wes Anderson-y of all of his movies, his first film. But yeah, probably somewhere in the middle.
See, I love this one because it doesn't tread on Wes Anderson's usual territory of daddy issues and gets more into this territory, like you just mentioned, where you have the wonder and grandiose aspirations of the child mind versus the browbeaten, mundane adult mind. And I love that conflict in this movie because these kids dream up this is how we're going to do it, and this can happen, and this is going to work. And then you have the people that are trying to circumvent this because that's not the way it's done.
And meanwhile, they've got their own petty problems.
Right, absolutely. So for that's what appeals to me most, because it is a fresh sandbox that he's playing in this movie versus some of his other stuff where he does do a great job of delving into some of our neuroses that we have with our families and things like that. This is something that's kind of fresh for me and new. I really liked it. Plus, stylistically, it's gorgeous.
Yes, a theme of childhood wonder being fleeting. Is very prominent. Fun facts: after filming was completed, Kara Hayward got to keep the little kitten owned in the film by her character Susie, and Jared Gilman got to keep the backpack used by his character Sam. This film was Wes Anderson's first film without any involvement from Owen Wilson. During filming, Bill Murray taught Jared Gilman how to tie a necktie for the first time. And before filming, neither Kara Hayward nor Jared Gilman had ever seen a typewriter in person. Hayward later said that Frances McDormand had a lot of fun with that. She couldn't believe it. She showed me that the keys are in the same place as now on a computer.
Good job. That's a good one. I'm glad you covered that one. I need to rewatch that movie. It's one.
I watched it on the projector.
Love it. All right. As I mentioned earlier, I'm doing Meatballs from 1979. This was directed by Ivan Reitman, and I think it was co-written by why am I drawing a blank?
Harold Ramis.
Harold Ramis. Thank you very much. Released in 1979. It stars Bill Murray, Harvey Atkin, Kate Lynch, Chris Makepeace in his debut role, McCarthy Boyd, and Jack Blum. Tripper Harrison is the wildly charismatic, unpredictable head counselor at Camp North Star, a low-budget, highly disorganized summer camp catering to middle-class underdogs and outcasts. While Tripper spends most of the time pulling elaborate pranks on the camp's neurotic director, Morty, he develops a protective older brother bond with Rudy, a lonely, insecure young camper who feels completely alienated by the camp experience. As the summer progresses, Tripper rallies the eccentric staff and underachieving campers, building their collective confidence just in time for the annual Olympiad, a high-stakes two-day athletic competition against Camp Mohawk, their ultra-wealthy, arrogant rival across the lake. Through a combination of sheer grit, bizarre psychological warfare, and Tripper's legendary "it just doesn't matter" rally cry, the misfits of North Star push themselves to defeat their elite adversaries and claim their summer. This movie, for me, is the proof that Bill Murray can carry a substandard film.
It's his first movie, his first starring role, really.
It is very basic bitch. The plot is very simple, and the music is by Elmer Bernstein, which you are cued in by his music right from the get-go that Rudy is a depressed, affected kid. Before the first line is even uttered, Elmer's score kicks in, and you know this is the sad kid. And
Either that or the Incredible Hulk is walking away.
right, exactly. The whole movie starts out in the parking lot at like a mall or whatever, where the kids are getting on the buses, and for some reason both camps are at the same parking lot. And Bill Murray gets in on the news anchors. The local news is doing like a feature on the summer camp starting, and they want to talk about the Camp Mohawk, and he's imitating or acting as if he is one of the counselors at Camp Mohawk, and he talks about all of the crazy shenanigans that they're going to get into throughout the summer, and he plays it straight, of course, and the news anchor buys it. A lot of stuff in this movie is kind of the template for things that would follow, even though it is kind of plain and boring, rote kind of stuff for us. I think Spaz, the character of one of the counselors, the nerd with the taped glasses, is clearly the prototype for the Revenge of the Nerds characters, as is the Olympiad. I think the Olympiad is the prototype for the big climax and high stakes conflict in
the
Revenge
first
of the
Nerds
Nerds.
movie?
Right. They borrow heavily from it. Of course, this is kind of a jumping off point for Ivan Reitman. Stripes would follow after this. You've got a lot of collaboration between the actors and the director that would show up in films further down the line. Very much a kind of a National Lampoon's kind of feel to it, but on a PG level.
Very PG. Like, you could tell that they wanted to be an R-rated movie, but they had to cut so much down to make it a PG.
It's very suggestive. And I saw this movie several times as a kid. This was on HBO a lot. And there is a lot of titillating type of nuance and suggestion that's made as a memory. I see this as more of a scandalous film,
a sexy romp,
than what it really is.
Right.
I mean, there is the scene where Spaz is paddling the canoe, and you've got the beautiful counselor wearing the pink bikini.
I think zero nipples in this
No
movie.
nipples, none. Is the fat counselor the same fat kid in... No, he's not. That was John Candy in Stripes.
Yep.
Easily interchangeable. I think John Candy in a younger life would have been in this movie as one of the counselors. But yes, it follows a very, very straightforward kind of trajectory where you have the outcast kids and all the shenanigans that happen. And again, as it in the synopsis, as I said, it culminates in the Olympiad. Bill Murray does take this Rudy character under his wing and coaches him and gives him the confidence he needs to realize that he is capable of doing greater things, and ultimately is the one who wins the big Olympiad. But there's also some fun little stupid games involved, like the hot dog eating contest with the fat guy, and then Spaz with the egg, carrying the egg in the spoon, with the counselors going Spaz, Spaz, Spaz. But outside of that, it is a pedestrian movie. There's nothing special about it.
On its surface, it's pedestrian, but I think that there is some underlying... I think there's a statement to be made with this movie about class struggle.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And if you think about the time that it was made, 1979, you're coming off of the kind of freewheeling 70s and moving into the very capitalistic corporate 80s. I think that 5 years later, you don't make this movie. Or 5 years later, it's from the perspective of the rich kids.
Well, to your point, this class warfare kind of thing has been repeated in other camp movies where you've got heavyweights.
Yep.
One Crazy Summer, which we talked about last week, as well as Addams Family Values. There is an element of that as well in this.
Yeah.
You have the camp romance structure very clearly. Bill Murray is lusting after a marginally attractive counselor.
Yeah, she looks like the brunette roommate from Three's Company.
Kinda, but that or Joni from Happy Days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't really see her appeal. I'm sorry. The pranks with the camp director is kind of predictable. They keep relocating Morty to various places because he's a unusually sound sleeper. Like they flip him around.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. And then of course you have the training montage, which is so typical of what we would see in the 80s. But I think the biggest part about the movie, if you've never seen it before and you want to see it as an adult, as a kid it was great, but as an adult, I think it's just a testament to how Bill Murray can carry a movie with his improv chops.
I want to know what the cocaine budget was.
Oh my God, it had to be off the charts.
Because I think that the script had very little written in terms of Bill Murray's dialogue. They would be like, so-and-so says this, then Bill riffs. Because it all seemed ad-libbed.
I don't want to pull into your fun facts, but Bill Murray was a last-minute addition to this movie.
Okay.
The filming had already started on this film.
Oh, it was supposed to be Belushi.
Okay, then. 3 days after filming started was when Bill Murray showed up, and he ad-libbed about 70 to 80% of his lines.
Awesome.
Again, this is why the movie works, is because you've got that fresh element, and they told all the other actors to just roll with what Bill does. And Ivan Reitman,
let him cook.
Well, Ivan Reitman knew exactly. He said, just let the man cook and just roll with it, and that's why it works in what I consider to be a very basic bitch kind of plot for the movie. And that goes down to the it just doesn't matter. That was an improvised thing, and all of the camp counselors were unaware of where he was going with this, yet they organically pulled into that chant. So again, Bill Murray. He carries this movie to the finish line. No pun intended. Harold Ramis, we mentioned this is the first feature screenplay co-written by Ramis, and it marked the first of many collaborations between him and Ivan Reitman and Bill Murray, including Stripes and Ghostbusters. So it had to happen because we got some pretty magical shit further down the line. That's all I got.
All right. Well, to that point, is the first of 6 collaborations between Bill Murray and Harold Ramis, with Ramis functioning as any combination of various roles as actor, writer, director. The movies include Stripes, Meatballs, Caddyshack, Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2, and Groundhog Day. Ivan Reitman and Harold Ramis wanted John Landis to direct this movie.
Oh no, somebody might have died.
Because of the work that he did on National Lampoon's Animal House, but Landis turned it down because he was too busy working on the Blues Brothers. Because of this, Reitman decided to direct it himself. The running gag of calling Camp North Star director Morty by the name Mickey instead is an arcane reference to Mickey Mouse's original name, Mortimer Mouse. Mortimer Mouse. And then finally, it's never explained why the movie is called Meatballs, except that the term meatball is a general expression for a silly person, and the campers in this movie do act very silly. Think calls Spaz a meatball at one point while they're playing tennis.
If you want to put Joey's diminishing returns theory to the test,
there's what, 5?
I challenge you to watch the sequels to this movie.
Oh gosh,
Meatballs 2 is one of the worst pieces of trash I've ever seen. It follows after the release of E.T., and there is an alien called Meathead.
Oh wow!
Because he says Me Ted as his name, and they call him Meathead. It's terrible.
Meatballs 4 stars Corey Feldman.
Well, there's another reason. So yeah, if you've got the gumption to check out the sequels to Meatballs, I challenge you to do so, and let us know what you think.
Cool. I didn't know there were. I knew that there was a second one, but I didn't know that there was a whole.
Oh, they're awful.
A whole
they're
chain
terrible. Again, yeah. If it weren't for Bill Murray, this whole thing would have been non-existent. The film overperformed.
I wonder why Bill Murray wasn't involved in any of the sequels.
Gee, I wonder why. Because he had better shit to do with his time. But the let's see. I think that this movie did do much better in the box office. It was produced on a tiny budget of $1.6 million, mostly funded by Canadian tax shelters. This was shot in Canada, by the way.
Gotcha.
At Camp White Pine in Haliburton, Ontario. It went on to gross $43 million in North America alone, making it one of the highest grossing, most profitable, rather, independent films of the era. So, yeah, they definitely did their work for sure. Summer camp, that's it. Did you go to summer camp as a kid?
I did not. My sister got to go once, and the only thing I know about her experience is if you were late to the dining hall, everybody would sing, "Better late than never, better never late."
Wow. You?
I never did. It seems like hellish to me.
Yeah. I went to church camp, not like the
Jesus camp?
not like Jesus camp. No.
Well, I went to a couple of those, but they were just like weekend things.
No, this
It
was
wasn't
this was like
all
I think
summer.
mine was like about a week. We had what were called RAs, Royal Ambassadors, in my church.
Same thing,
circle, the
Southern Baptist,
thing.
yeah.
Southern Baptist deal. So we went to RA camp, and that was kind of fun. I remember, and then at one point in my 3rd, 4th grade years, I went to energy camp.
Okay.
Where we learned all about alternative energy sources and solar energy. I actually got to walk inside a nuclear reactor under construction.
So this was the
Wow.
camp for the
big
indoor
silo.
kids.
Yes, we were the nerd camp. I did not know that at the
David
time.
Hyde Pierce was the camp
I did
counselor.
not know it was nerd camp, but apparently it was, because we learned about energy, and they gave us what was supposed to be like a little piece of uranium. It was like in a little blister pack. And for the longest time as a kid, I thought I actually had a piece of uranium, but I did not. So I wasn't that smart. All right. So yeah, summer camp. Hope you enjoyed that walk down a strange sub genre, but that's it. I don't know what we're doing for the next episode. It might be time for a watch party. I think Joey recommended something not too long ago. That,
Yeah, it was. What's the name of that movie?
I don't know. It might be surprising everybody. We'll surprise everyone with a
killing
watch
me.
party, perhaps. I don't know. We'll figure it out in the next couple of weeks. It is summertime and everybody's schedules are chaotic, so who knows what we're going to do. Please rate, review, subscribe. Check us out on social media. We are Cinema Chop Shop everywhere except for YouTube and Blue Sky. We're Cinema Chop Shop Podcast. Do check us out. Tell your friends about us and all that good stuff. Love your neighbors. Tell people you love them. Be kind to one another because we need it now more than ever. And reflect on things. Look into the pool of your own lives and reflect upon what's looking back at you, whether it be algae or floating pieces of blue paint. Just take a moment to reflect. And remember to
Watch, shop, retrofit.